Let's pop the top! We're back with episode 5 of Drunk Wives Club, and we're so excited.
We're so excited. We just did episode 4, so we decided we're gonna do episode 5 because we really liked it.
And we had a good topic, but I forget already.
Oh, I can tell you. It's the awesome text message that your husband sent you like an hour ago.
Yes, my husband knows we do this podcast, and he is fully supportive of it. But he also knows it's about how hard marriage is sometimes, which means talking shit on your significant other.
And ourselves.
Yeah, in the open public, which we're very honest about it. But he just texted me and said, before you talk shit on me, please remember, I took you to dinner yesterday, I washed your car, and I put gas in it, which is very true, and I'm very appreciative. So for that reason, we won't talk shit on him a lot, but sometimes we just have to.
Yeah, but you very much love him. Where'd you go to dinner?
I do. Oh, Morton's Steakhouse.
I have not ever been there.
10 out of 10. I think it's actually better than Eddie V's.
No way.
Yes, it's so good because our birthdays are 3 days apart. 3 days apart, and my lovely brother decided to get married next weekend, which is September 9th, and Anthony's birthday is September 8th, and mine's September 11th.
Oh yeah, so when this comes out, this is going to be like way past those dates, by the way.
So we just have to celebrate early. And also my big event for my job is next Saturday that I won't be there for, so it's just kind of like I'm unstable this weekend. I could literally walk into work and start crying at any point. So I mean, that's where I'm at.
I think that's realistic, and that's exactly where I was at last week.
Yeah.
So it ebbs and flows because I'm feeling really good this week.
I feel like any adult in the working world, no matter what your job is, it's just stressful sometimes. Sometimes you just need to cry.
I feel like this is going to be a really bold statement, but I just feel like if you're not ever stressed, like you're either not in the right job because you don't care enough, or you're not working hard enough, which was really the bold part of the statement.
Ooh, yes, that is true.
But I do think that, and I'm saying like ever. I think we take it to a bit of an extreme.
Yeah,
but
I just think we always want things to be perfect. Remember when you were an event planner?
Yeah.
Oh, I miss that days. You understood my life.
I know. You
still do though.
We both worked at nonprofits at the same time, and then we had like very similar types of jobs, but also events. And so we used to like support each other, and not that we don't still, but we used to support each other like and volunteer at those jobs, because sometimes it's like really hard to get people to volunteer and understand like what goes into it, because they were both fundraisers, and they were our largest fundraisers for our jobs. So yeah, that was like a big deal. I think we just have like extreme work ethic.
Yeah, and I'm just the type of person that I'd rather just do it myself, because I know it will be done the way I want it to be done.
I know, but you can't do that all the time. Why? I actually just had a conversation with my coworker about this. Technically she reports to me, but I'm like working on delegating like a lot, because
delegating,
I know it's really hard, but I've taken like actionable steps to delegate like a little bit more, and my team is excited for it because they want to do more and like they want to learn. And so that's the only way I feel like. And I feel like that's not just like a job. Like it's also in life. Like if you're not doing like actually doing the thing and you're only talking about it, you're not actually going to know if you want to do it.
Yeah.
You're good at it or you hate it. Like there's really no other way to know.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's my wisdom for this episode, so it's just gonna be a slippery slope.
I'm gonna re-watch this and type out that whole part of it and hang it above my desk.
It wasn't that insightful.
Just put like under it like Gandhi did, like Shannon's Vandenburg words.
You almost said my maiden name, which
it's so bad because we were doing our podcast onboarding today, and it said host names, and as she was on the phone with Mark,
so red.
I was like, should we put our last names or our maiden names? Because we still We haven't technically changed our names.
That's not true.
Ish.
You did.
I started to.
I didn't change it at all.
Because it's such a painful it's not painful, it's a pain in the ass. Because you have to go to the social security office.
It's not a one-stop shop.
Because you have to do everything. And now all of my housing shit is in my maiden name.
Right.
But I don't know. It's just such a pain. But I do have to change my license now, so I have to become a Barry. But I'm not going to change.
We did use our married names because we figured it's Drunk Wives Club. So we should use the names that we.
But I still like when people when you check into a hotel, they're like, "What's it under?" I'm like, "Jess Ames," and Anthony just looks at me, and I'm like, "I don't know. I don't.
It's just gonna take some time.
I don't think of it as big of a thing as it was like 20 years ago."
Oh, I would say it's not even as big of a thing as it was probably like 10.
Yeah.
Because like Mark was really big on that. He's like very,
your name?
Yeah. He's very traditional with that. And I'm my own person. So I'm gonna change my name if I want to. And if you tell me that I'm gonna change my name, I'm not gonna change my name.
And why don't men change their name?
I don't care, because I'm like, if I don't want to change it, I wouldn't expect them to change it. So that part doesn't bother me. And I know it's like a thing that has always been a thing. It's just, it's so much effort. And like, we don't really work like the best hours sometimes. And we don't really like take off. So I'm like, when am I supposed to go do this?
And when I went to the social security office, I went there when they opened and I still had to wait 3 hours. And then the appointment only took about 5 minutes. So I was like, why do I have to wait 3 hours when the appointment only takes 5 minutes? Like, why can't it even be virtual?
I feel like it could be virtual, but then people could probably like pretend. So like, I get the effort. I just wish that it was easier for people to do. Like, I know it shouldn't be like, just sign one dotted line and everything is different. But it's like, you have credit cards, you have email addresses, you have all this stuff, especially like if you own a house, like that's even bigger. That's such a thing. Mark and I have a will. And so it's like doing that because we just changed it because of our son. And so now if I change my name legally, we have to do it again.
Change the will and everything.
Yeah. And I know like I'm going to like in like socially, I'm my married name. But professionally and like on paper, I'm my maiden.
And I feel like people just know, like all of our circle of friends and family know we're married, and like our work community knows we're married. So it's just like the name change is something that we haven't done yet.
Yeah, I think it's funny when we had our son, my company sent out like a welcome to the world email, but it was like said
Brady Sisson.
No, but people were probably like, oh, that's they said like our name, but they were like, oh, like that's supposed to be like her name. But professionally, I think I'm always going to be Shannon Sisson.
And plus, I don't want to change my work email.
It's a pain.
It is.
My one friend that used to work where I work didn't change her name until she got a new job. So like she was her maiden name for a while, and then she got where she was working.
I don't even think I changed my name on Facebook or like Instagram. Or
no, I don't.
But
well, especially because again, the people that we're really close with, like already know. So if you want to connect with someone that you haven't talked to, and like, because we've only been married for a couple of years, like 10 years ago, like they're not going to know to look for Jess Berry.
Yeah. I think only Chelsea out of all of my married friends changed her name. But I still think of her as Chelsea Smith.
Oh, that's like, so yeah. So actually like a lot of my friends changed them immediately.
Really? Right away?
Mm-hmm. But in my phone, one day I felt like bad because I was like, well, I still know you as your maiden name. So I changed them and I like told them that, and they were like, oh, you're still in my name is Shannon Sisson. And I was like, yeah. And so I changed it back because it was weird.
Did Leah change her name?
Yeah.
She's Sisson?
Yeah.
Right away?
No, 3 years later.
Oh, see,
Right.
Leah, you are a spirit animal.
I know, but she changed it right before she had the baby.
Oh,
And so, the only thing she didn't change it on was her health insurance. So my niece's last name was like her maiden name in
the
the
health insurance world.
not in the health insurance world, but when she was born, it was like Brady was baby sissing, and that bothered Mark. And I was like, yeah, but he's not. So that's gonna be the only time it's ever looked at that way. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I'm just really like attached to my last name because of like my very close family of me, my mom, and my brother. So it was like that's like our family. They both have that last name. I don't anymore. It took me a while to figure that out. That it's fine. Like it doesn't change.
You're still a Sisson.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything. But now I'm also a Vandenburg, and now I'm like
you could be Sisson.
I'm part of that fun family. So now I'm part of like 2 fun families. It's fun. It's great. Okay, so yeah, I don't think Jess needs to technically drink much more. But no, we also wanted to just talk about, we were talking like right before this about love languages and just so one of the first things when we first started about this podcast, like we came up with a list actually of things we wanted to talk about. And the first one was just like the importance of communication, which, you talk to any couple about, you talk to anybody and you're like, oh, the importance of communication. It's like the number one thing. I feel like people say that in all parts of life, but I don't really feel like you understand that until you're like, oh, I like want to be with this person for the rest of my life. Whether that means you're getting married or you're just a partner and you don't want to do the whole marriage thing, like you're like, oh, this is like important to have figured out if you have to like talk to this person every day, like for the rest of your life.
And I'm just not a big fan of conflict to begin with. So I suck at communication, like the hard communication. Like I am great with everything else, but if there's something bothering me, I usually don't say it. I like let it build up inside of me, and then I rage text people.
Yeah.
But not people. Like I only
just your husband.
I have only ever rage texted Anthony or anybody I've dated, and it's like not a good thing. Like that
do you still do that?
No, I usually just yell at him. But not even like yell at him.
Yeah, but I feel like that's a step like in communication.
Yeah, because it's easier now. Like obviously we live together and we see each other basically 24/7. So it's kind of hard to hide your frustrations when you live with somebody.
Yeah.
And you see them. Like we've gotten in fights and have not talked for a couple days. And I do not recommend that when you live with somebody, because like by day 3, you're just like, are we still mad at each other? And our thing is like, we'll send gifts of like people looking through the grass, like, are you so mad? And it's usually like, yes. And the response is, okay, see you later.
Yeah, but that's communication.
Yeah.
I just feel like eventually you have to get to the point of communicating about why you're mad.
Yeah.
Which like is sometimes takes some time.
Yeah. And I'm not good at talking about my feelings of why I'm upset.
No, that's why we're best friends. Because I don't do that either.
You know how I communicate with people.
Yeah. But it's like my language. So I get it.
Yeah.
I know.
We'll do it one day.
I know, but I just like even talking about how like you communicate between the difference of before you lived together, even to when you were living together, and now like you're married. So I just think there's like definitely different levels of how that works. Like I think for me dating Mark, I was like, oh, he's been my best friend. Like I know how he communicates. Like I get it. It like worked as a friend. And then we had to relearn when we started dating.
As a couple, not just as friends.
And that was like a huge like difference for me personally, because I'm really big about communication, and like facets of communication actually like really interest me, like how people communicate and like different personality types communicate in different ways. Like that is something like I'm really interested in. So when I was like, yeah, I got this. And then we were dating and I was like,
I don't got it.
this. And I was like, I don't know how you're communicating. And like, I think I'm saying something, but I was never verbalizing it. So I think it was definitely like a learning process. So when people say like, oh, like dating isn't hard or dating isn't hard, like, do you get that? Because I
feel
don't.
like that's the whole point of this podcast is not even marriage is hard. Dating is fucking hard, and marriage is even harder because I just think like people they'll date forever and then get married, and obviously like people ask us all the time, they're like, how's marriage? And you're like, it's basically the same, but
Right.
also you have to put as much effort into your marriage as you do like everything else in your life, and that's where it gets freaking stressful because like
sometimes
you work and you have
Right.
Brady, and it's like everything sometimes piles on top of you, which is why the importance of dating always comes back into
always
play.
comes. It's full circle.
Yeah,
It is though. And I think that's like a big thing for us. Like it's just so important to communicate because if you don't, it just falls apart. Like eventually in some part of the cycle, it falls apart.
And I think that's what people don't talk about. Like, why is it so important to communicate in any facet of life?
Yeah, they're just
because
like,
you're just gonna
it's important. And you're like,
but why?
And like what happens if you don't?
Yeah. Even in your friendships, like I feel like people, well, not us, we're different. But like you don't communicate with some of your friends sometimes.
Yeah. No, but it's actually like a big thing though, because sometimes, you know, you're talking about how it takes the same amount of effort, right?
Mhm.
And so we've been friends with a lot of the same people for a decent amount of time, right? So you kind of just like know they're there. And so sometimes you don't communicate with them enough.
I know. It brings me back to Chelsea, my best friend since second grade, when she typed me that letter in the mail. Did I ever tell you?
No, I don't remember this story.
I was such a bad friend when I was in my 20s because I've always like had a lot of different groups of friends. So I would try to spread myself so thin to make sure I hung out with all of them.
Yeah.
And Chelsea, as my best friend since second grade, she was always there. So I didn't put as much effort into her as I should have because I was a bad person. And she typed me single-spaced letter in the mail, sent it to my parents' house, addressed to me, telling me what a shitty person I was and what a bad friend I was. And it's true, I was, but
did it wake you up? I definitely didn't know this.
Yeah.
So healthy. I love that. I love that because she knew that she could be honest with you, and that's her communicating.
Exactly. And then it was like 3 months we didn't talk because you know how I get. I just didn't want to.
Yeah, you were like,
I was like,
no,
fuck. Like, I'm just gonna text her and be like, sorry, I'm an asshole. And then 3 months later, I saw her in the grocery store and we had to wait in line next to each other. And I was like, are we friends again?
That is something.
But yeah, communication is just so important with anybody.
And it takes work.
I
like
know.
That's
so
the part,
much work on top of everything else.
Right. That's the part that people do not talk about. Like it really does take a lot of work. And Jess and I were talking and I was saying how like, again, in the part, like the very beginning of my relationship with Mark, I was like, wow, like I thought I'm definitely now at 32 that I am not the easiest person to date at this point. But back in the time, I'm like, oh, I'm so relaxed. I really was.
I think you are still.
I am, but I have some like stress and anxiety that pile up like quite a lot. So I'm definitely not like the easiest, but now that I know how to communicate, like I definitely didn't before.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, I love this stuff. Like I love doing this. And I was like, no, I because I love it, I'm like good at it. No. But I think it wasn't that I wasn't good at it. It was like learning that each person and personality type communicates in different ways. So that was like a huge thing that I needed to figure out. And like Mark and I went through like some really tough times, not like our relationship, but things that happened in our lives like separately, towards the like probably like the first year of our relationship, and like not being on the same page about the types of ways that we each needed to be like loved was hard. but again, we were friends for so long that we were like, well, we know we love each other and we know we're there for each other. So like, why
You
is
just
this
go differently.
so hard? And so like through the years, I think we figured it out. Obviously, like now
I think so.
we're married. You're still figuring stuff out, and there's definitely a ton of stuff you'll think and then you get gut checked by like life. And you're like, oh, I don't actually know. I didn't actually know that. But I think what was really eye-opening for me, which like I like don't love to admit, is so we got married in a Catholic church. We both grew up Catholic. I would say Mark is practicing Catholic. I am just a Catholic. So I don't like, we're not going to get into the whole religion thing, but like, I just like, he's very much follows everything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just grew up this way. Like it's cool. It was like really important to him and both of our families that we got married in a church. I got my Long Island Ave Maria. So I was like, it's fine. Like if that's everybody's peachy keen and I get like a cool thing, I'm like, this is great. So, but in order to get married in a Catholic church, you have to do something called pre-Cana, which is like
marriage counseling.
It's like marriage counseling. And so again, like you're so like cocky, like, and now I feel like marriage is like, no, you don't know anything about anything. Like also being a mom is also that really for me. So like, every day I just don't know anything. And then something happens and I'm like, oh, I learned this now. Like, this is how I know it. But really like, I was like going into this and I was like, yeah, like we're really solid. And like, and it helped so much because we talked about love languages, which I thought was like not a real thing. And then I realized for 5 years of our relationship, we were trying to provide each other the love with our own love languages and not each other's. And that was crazy. It was like eye-opening.
Which I didn't even know love languages were an actual thing until we talked about this subject matter for the podcast. And then we Googled it and I'm like, wow, that does make sense.
Yeah. So what are yours? You wrote them down. So
we did write them down.
There's 5. I'm sure like a lot. This is like was a new thing for me 2 years ago and is a new thing very, very much recently for Jess.
Like an hour ago.
Yeah. So like we'll just go through them just in case you don't know, but you probably already do. But they're words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. So like what are yours?
Mine are definitely words of affirmation because they just are.
You gotta know that you're loved.
I've been very, and especially now, like with my job and events and everything, like I need to hear that like I'm doing a good job or it's like going to be okay. And to have that support from Anthony, like I remember the gala this past year, I texted him and I was just like, I need you to come help me because I need you to come pick this shit up. And like, I just have to be with you and like know that I can rely on you to like get this shit done. And I remember I got in the car and he's like, gonna be okay. And he's like, do you want Burger King? And I was like, yes, yes, I do. So just like knowing that like everything's gonna be okay, I feel like that's so important. And knowing that we are like strong together. Cause I feel like sometimes we get so disconnected with being so busy with work and everything.
Yeah.
Just even like texting each other during the day, being like, hi, I still love you. Or like, hi, do you want to get dinner together? Yeah. Cause even like sometimes during work, I'm like, holy shit, like how has it been 6 hours and it's already 3:00 and I haven't like texted Anthony at all. Like, you just get so busy and like so caught up with your own life that I always think words of affirmation are definitely the number one thing for me.
And then what's Anthony's?
Quality time. Because I feel bad. Like sometimes I just get so busy with work. And I think I said this before, I do a lot of after work events or and like have meetings or stuff that like sometimes he'll be like, you forgot about me, or like I'm at home by myself and I'm bored. So just putting that time aside for him to make it known that he is important to me, like because obviously you're my freaking husband, like I wouldn't not put aside quality time for you, but sometimes I forget, like, it should just be one-on-one, where
Yeah.
like sometimes I think quality time is like, oh, well, we're going out with a group of people, so we're hanging out together.
But it's not like
it's
he
not the
doesn't
same.
think that.
Yeah. So that's definitely his.
And it goes back to dates.
I know.
I know. Like
dates.
that is where your quality time is.
Yeah.
I know.
And I never thought about it that way until like I read these 5 love languages, and I was like, wow, it all makes sense now.
Yeah, but isn't it cool? You didn't know what they were, but you still know how to like communicate and what you're.
Yeah,
That's
physical
needed.
touch is definitely not my. I don't like when people touch me.
Which leads me to what Mark says, which is physical touch. Yeah, so his is physical touch and words of affirmation. And again, I'm not gonna lie, like I didn't know what they were until we had to do this before we got married. And I was like, oh, like, yeah, that's definitely a thing. So his has like always been physical touch. Like he's always a big hugger. Which is so funny because like my sister-in-law is the opposite. And so like every time we go to family parties, like he'll hug everybody. And like she would be totally fine to be like, hello. Like
hello,
like
I'm over here.
loves talking, but like doesn't need to be touched. And
Yeah.
like, I also don't need to be touched. Like that's not my thing either. I don't know why. I just really like it's okay with your bowling shoes.
Yeah.
That is like my I really need like my own personal space. So physical touch is like was not actually my thing, but it's interesting. So it wasn't mine.
You know what else I hate? This is just a side note, PDA.
Oh,
but
yeah,
like
we could go on about that.
Not even PD, like I get it if it's you two, but I've never been a fan of PDA in a group setting. It brings me back to physical touch. Like it's just weird.
Well, I also feel like there's like a time and a place. I don't really think that's the time and the place.
Or the place. Yeah.
With a bunch of people, I also agree with that.
I don't think any of our friends do that I can think of. I
don't
think in like college and stuff.
I don't remember it at all. That was like not a thing for me. But yeah,
I will start doing it.
No, I will call you out. I will call you out.
Okay.
But yeah, and then words of affirmation were also a big thing for him, which was like really the thing I didn't think I understood, because for me, and again, it's just we're very different. Like Mark always tells me, he's like, I love you, I'm so grateful for our life. Like, and I am like, I feel the same things, but in my head I don't feel like I have to verbalize it because I feel like he like already knows. So that opened my eyes a lot to it. And I was like, oh wow, like I need to like tell him like, hey, I love you. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for like just like picking up Brady, for like taking Gus on a walk like every single day. Like that like he just needed to hear that.
Yeah. And it's not like I don't know if you forget to say it, but it's just like you would assume that they know that you're thankful for
right. And that's just how my brain works. So I'm like, I just assume he needed to hear it. So now like that was like really eye-opening. And so when we went through like hard times in life, like that's what he would like do for me. And I'm like, I don't need to hear this right now. Like that's like not like what my thing is. So mine is like acts of service.
Actions speak louder than words.
And it's not, just to be clear, it's not receiving gifts. So like it's definitely just acts of service, because it's like if he should, like to me it's showing like up. Your actions speak louder than words. And so if you are gonna show me stuff or do something for me, like if I'm having the worst day ever and you do something, like I had a really rough day on Sunday, just Sunday morning. Brady was like just being one, and it was hard, and he literally went to the grocery store and got me flowers. And so I was like, that is like, and that's like what makes me feel good, because I'm like, one, he just tells me all the time, I'm like so lucky that he loves me. So I like already know that. But like when it's like he sees, like when he can recognize if I'm having a great day and like does something for me, I have a bad day, like, or it's just like a random day, like sometimes he just does like random acts of kindness, and like that is still my thing. But I do feel like as we've been married for a couple of years now, I'm starting to like understand his love languages more. So like the physical touch thing, actually, when I'm like really upset, I do need, and I never
Yeah.
needed that before. So it's like interesting that it's just like,
changing.
yeah, very much evolving.
Oh,
I know.
flower.
Sunflowers, because we went to a sunflower field on Saturday and we're not allowed to pick the flowers, which made total sense. And we went to church and Brady just like wasn't having it. So I just drove around the parking lot for 30 minutes.
Did he go to sleep?
Yeah.
Uh,
Like a 3-hour early nap, which didn't make any sense. Like he was not ready for a nap.
maybe he needed a nap.
I guess we party hard at the Vandenburg house.
They do.
Running around and literally never stopping moving.
Making cheeseburgers, chicken fried rice on that Blackstone grill.
Yeah. Well, it just goes to like, I think we've talked about this before, but Mark's like, we're gonna have like a really relaxing day. And he said that on Sunday. He's like, we're gonna go to church and then I'm gonna go to the grocery store and then I'm gonna clean the whole house. And I'm like, and where in that is relaxing?
Yeah, that actually sounds like not relaxing to me.
Yeah, I know.
I always think my weekends are going to be relaxing, but somehow when you're an adult, don't you feel like the weekends book up so quickly?
They book up because at least I feel like for us, the realistic part of us like hanging out with our friends every weekend, which is what we did for a long time, like isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, because you see each other like once a month and you're like, we're good.
Yeah. But like I feel like we're not good because this is why we're doing this podcast. We miss each other.
We had to start this podcast so we could hang out on a regular basis.
I know.
You
guys are welcome.
We went like 3 months without that. I think it was from February to like the summer or something. Because I saw you on your birthday at Hidden River, and then we didn't see each other for a long span of time.
It was a while.
And I was actually thinking about it. I was like
why?
Why?
Like 2.5 months.
That should be illegal.
I know.
2.5 months?
Yeah, it was
months.
Time.
I could go 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
That's just too much.
Well, I know I'm gonna have to, I don't know who yet, but I'm gonna have like a mom join us one time to talk about our lives, because really just Brady was sick for like 7 months because of daycare. So that's why I didn't see you for a while, because one of us or all of us were sick for about 4 months.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
How about you talk about Brady's first birthday party?
What about it? How absolutely adorable he was and never stopped moving.
I know the first one. About how I was rescheduled.
Supposed to have it?
Yeah, I feel like that was love language by Mark in a nutshell.
I don't know what you're talking about when it comes to what Mark did, but I had a full-blown panic attack.
She did.
So I feel like this would be relatable to anybody who like really just is like, you're in a position in life where things just keep piling and piling and piling, and like you're looking forward to one thing, and then you're like, okay, all these 200 things can go wrong, but if this one thing goes right, like you're fine. And that's
it didn't.
where I was at with this birthday party. And like, I'm not like personally for me, don't care about birthday parties, probably won't have a large birthday party at all.
You never
again have. But even for Brady. So my son just turned 1 in July. And so he is obviously like the second love of my life. And so Gus, my dog, is the third.
I was about to be like, who's the first?
Yeah.
Okay, Mark, I'll give you that one. Yeah. I'll take 4.
Okay, that's fair. I feel like that's really good.
That is.
Yeah.
I'll take top 5.
Yeah. Top 5 is like the top 8 for my space.
Oh.
But yeah, so I was like, work piling up, life piling up, mom, like being a mom, everything. So I was like, if this one thing just goes right, we're good. He had it's like a long story, but he basically, well, it is now because it's been a while. So we found out 24 hours before his party and his birthday. Like his birthday party was on his actual birthday, and we found out 24 hours prior that he had hand, foot, mouth, which is like one of the most contagious like viruses that you
babies, right? Or can anybody get
no,
it?
you can as an adult get it. It's harder to get it as an adult, but you can definitely get it. So we had to like reschedule the whole party, and like because that was like my one thing that I was like, okay, like if this is fine, whatever. So Mark was like trying to like really supportive. This is what you're talking about him just being like extra supportive. And so he like knew I was gonna melt down, and I was in total denial phase. And I was like, no, like we're still gonna have the party. And he was like, okay. And like just said okay. I'm like, yeah, no, like we're still gonna have the party, but like we're not gonna be there. And then like looking back at it, one, that's just absurd. But like in my head, because I was so stressed out, I was like, no, like I really just don't feel like pre-planning this whole party. And so like the party's gonna happen without the three of us. And he was like, okay. And like just said okay. Like he didn't care.
He went along with it. He's like, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
We can have Brady's birthday party without Brady.
Yeah, he was like, that was great. Called my mom, and she was like thinking that I was gonna like get out of that. And so she said the same thing, and she was like, okay, like just let me know what you need. That mom response was like, you're gonna call me back in an hour and be like, yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that's just not gonna work for us.
That didn't really happen. Then I proceeded to call my brother and my sister-in-law and was like, hey, this happened. And I was like, can you just go pick up the cake at Costco? And my brother was like trying to be real nice because he knows me better than almost anybody, and goes, okay, and then like you want us to bring the cake to your house? And I was like, no, I want you to take the cake to the party without like our son, like his birthday was.
Yeah,
like,
without the parents and the 1-year-old birthday, that it was for.
And my sister-in-law, the angel that she is, was like, so I think, and I was like, nope, I don't care, and like Scott was in the background and was like, she's losing it. Like, just
Like,
don't
offer
yeah, like
rocker.
don't say anything, just say like okay.
Yeah,
She sent me like psych.
don't put her over the edge.
She sent me such a nice text, like trying to be supportive, and was like, I will reschedule it for you. And I was like, I just can't mentally do it. Like I was really going crazy. I called Jess and I was like, hey, I think I'm gonna need, like it went on for hours. And I was like, hey, mind you, it's less than 24 hours before the party is supposed to start, and 60 people were supposed to come. So I had to call all of them if it wasn't happening.
Yeah, and everybody was like, yeah, okay.
And so I called Jess and I was like, yeah, like we're gonna solve the party. And you were like, again, so supportive. That's like how I know I have like great people in my life. And they were like, okay. And you're like, yeah,
what do you need?
What do you need? And I was like, I think you can go help set up with my mom. And you were like, okay.
Like, just let me know what time.
No one told me I was crazy because they thought I was like gonna get out of it. I felt so bad. My in-laws drove from Myrtle Beach to be there. So like that made me feel bad. And I was like, yeah, like you're still gonna go. You're still gonna have a great time without us and the kid whose birthday it was, like crazy. And this is when you like know a mom can like tell you regardless of your age. My mom calls me back like 2 hours later and goes, so like what's the update? And I was like, oh, like I called them to like tell them about picking up the presents and stuff. And I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, my brother and sister-in-law, and she's like, Shannon, I'm talking about the place. Like, did you call the place and tell them that like this happened? And I was like, no, because I was so in denial. She's like, Shannon, I have to be honest, like people are not gonna go to this if your kid whose birthday it is isn't gonna go. And I was like, I don't care. And I like hung up the phone, and I was out trying to again mentally totally
do everything.
Yeah, I was like, no, I'm gonna get all the last minute things that I was gonna do anyway. And in the middle of driving, I just drove right back home, and I walked in and I just started crying, and Mark's like, it hit you, huh? And I was like, yeah, like we can't have this party. And then we had it 6 weeks later, and he was like,
it was fun.
Literally running around like a wild child, which he wouldn't have been able to do for his birthday anyway. But it was like so funny because he was so supportive. But like think about all those people I just mentioned and how every one of them knew my communication.
Yeah,
so they were like
we're
great,
gonna do it. Like
great
this is
idea,
a great time
without the person whose birthday it was. Like I randomly talked about it like 5 days later with my mom and just started cracking up. And I was like, on. Like, I literally told Scott to pick up the cake. Like, I
And
told you, yeah,
freaking event venue.
Like, I didn't
Yeah.
make any sense. So
It was
that's how,
hilarious.
it's a very long story, but I just feel like anyone who's a mom who's been like
I was just saying,
totally,
all moms will
yeah,
understand.
like, you're like, oh my God, like this thing just keeps happening, and then this other thing keeps happening, and then this happens, and then this happens, and you're like, I just need to get to the birthday party. He'll have a great time. He won't remember it ever again. But it's like for me. It was for me, and it was for mom. And it was like, we did it. We made it through the year.
love you all understand the point of a first birthday party, because they're not gonna remember.
Oh, I didn't even give that part of it. It was at like a brew house.
It was amazing. And I think it was Sam, Jill, and I were talking about how your guys' parties always have amazing food.
Yeah.
So like no matter where you go, the Vandenburgs are gonna feed you great.
We try.
And it was amazing.
We try. It was a really cool
And it was
space.
freaking open bar. For a first birthday party, I was like, this is about to be lit.
I am a drunk wife, you know.
You are.
I
You
have
did not
to do it
disappoint.
right.
They had 3 IPAs on tap.
3 IPAs, and then
You did a porter too.
I did. I had that. It was really good. Mark had 4. I did. I was like responsible that day. Kind of leaps back to the whole beginning of our birthday.
I'm so sad my Brady does not like being held though anymore.
He's wild.
He only likes to run.
I
tried to catch him and he cried twice, and Anthony was like, why are you making the birthday boy cry?
Oh, he just like
love being held.
I know he doesn't anymore.
He just wants to run. That's okay.
Run free. He can be free.
Now he can open the door.
He can be free.
We'll
but
let
it just
him.
loops back to
Communication, love language,
it's important.
support your significant other
And
in
your
any way.
friends, and literally all the loved ones in your life that you care about. And it's okay to actually say that sometimes it's hard. It's hard to make an effort. It is.
I'm just thinking about the time you went up to Missy at Brady's party and said,
so bad.
I'm a bad friend. And I said, you are. What about me? And you said, oh, you're fine.
We talk all the time.
Yeah.
Like
It's hard to, especially just like you as a mom, like everybody has so much shit going on.
yeah.
It's hard to communicate with people.
It's just hard to put the same amount of effort towards everyone at the same time.
Yeah.
So as long as you can find a balance for it, and as long as you have like good people in your life that know you don't, it's not like you're forgetting about them. It's just like you just can't talk all the time anymore.
And I feel like when you have close friends that know you better than anybody else, they just get it.
That's how
Like
it should be.
we couldn't talk for like a month, and I'd call you and be like, what the hell? Like,
I know.
and you'd probably say,
I'd be like,
I was busy.
sorry.
I'd be like, okay,
Yeah. Be like,
let's go to Ballbirds.
Hey,
They're
let's
like,
go
asshole.
drink. Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's go drink.
life's hard,
It is
but we get through it with
Yeah.
good people and
Yeah.
good spouses
the best, the most supportive. So
and drunk wives.
regardless, find supportive people in your life. Doesn't even have to be a relationship.
And if you need help, call us. We will give you the best advice.
Clearly, we're really stable human beings.
Yeah,
so-
and we'll tell you if people are assholes and you should cut them out of your life.
Oh,
We've had
yeah.
enough people that we need to do that too.
Yeah, if you're not looking for us to be honest, then you probably shouldn't ask for our opinion, because I think we would be honest.
I feel like this is a topic that people could email us about and like type in their questions. We should start doing that.
Oh yeah,
Like,
like
send
send
us
us
your
your
questions.
address.
Oh, we just made it.
That's why I asked. I was like, what is that?
Drunk Wives Club podcast at gmail.com.
So definitely just
Google's mail.
yeah, Google us.
And you can stay
Google
anonymous.
us. Like I'm 70. Just email us.
Yeah, we'll keep you all anonymous unless you want us to say your names. We will. I'm really careful about whose names I say though.
Yeah, I feel like maybe we won't. Maybe we'll just, it'll be anonymous and we can answer questions if you if you need advice. We might do a whole we might, as this evolves, do a whole
Ooh.
advice segment.
I would love that. Although sometimes I don't give the best advice.
Um
I'll give my honest advice.
yeah, but I feel like that's just what people are looking for if they're actually asking us. Because if they're not asking us, they don't care.
Yeah, they're probably like, I don't want that bitch's advice.
Yeah, we're crazy. Anyway,
Fun.
yeah, we're great. Humble again. Really humble. up
Very
here.
humble. Stay
Yeah.
humble. Stay kind.
Work hard, play hard.
Learn
like
your
Wiz
love
Khalifa
language.
said.
Google Birdman. He is in jail if anybody's wondering.
I know. It's once we pick music for this show. I think people will understand.
make sense.
We'll have to like dive a little bit deeper into that. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to this episode.
Yeah, we hope to see you next week or
Yeah.
whenever again. We'll
Whatever.
probably be in a different shirt because it's the end tonight.
It's the end tonight.
It's getting weird.
Yeah. Rate,
All right.
review, subscribe, tap in next week. Thank you.
Bye.